Panel discussion on entrepreneurs and intrapreneurs, prospects for future growth. So, before we start the panel, we have a very pleasant task to perform, and this program would not be completed if we don't do this, because since we came to Bangalore, one person who has been instrumental in getting all this together, putting all this together, and helping us in any matter whatsoever possible is Mr. Rudra Shankar Roy. So we would take the honor and opportunity to felicitate him for his outstanding contribution in putting together the Techie Summit, the first and second edition of Techie Summit together in Bangalore. So we request our chairperson, Dr. Bhattacharya, to kindly do the honors. Mr. Roy, if we can have you in front of the stage, please. Can we have a round of applause for Mr. Roy, please? Thank you so much.
So a very good evening to all of you. After the rocket launch, it's the euphoria which has taken the people out for some time. I'm sure they will be joining once they hear the stories of the successes which can be made public. Certainly the pains are private. Okay. So since we have overshot and we will, let me come directly to the subject. What I am going to do is, I will ask for the success stories with each candidate and also introduce him. So let me start from this, from my left side, with Mr. Mukul Gupta. He is CEO Capital Numbers. Okay, he was an employee, and then one fine morning, he decided to be an entrepreneur. So Mukul, what has been your journey? While we see all the good things now about you, certainly there are difficult days, highlights, and the lowlights. It's very important that you can share now with the people who are aspiring to be one like you or even more like you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. The decision to start your own business after you have been in a corporate career for 10 years in your early 30s is actually very difficult. It's a very difficult decision because the entire family also gets involved, and everybody's used to a way of life, and then suddenly you decide that you will, and you're the primary breadwinner for the family, and you decided, okay, you have to quit your job because there's an opportunity that you see and you feel confident or a little bit sure that you can pursue it at least. So that's how I started my journey in 2012, where I was spending most of my time traveling abroad, missing my family, missing my kids. And I saw an opportunity around marketing teams who were trying to do digital, but they were not sure about the technology part of it. So I thought that maybe I could start a company which can provide technology services to these marketing companies who want to go online, who want to go digital. With that thought, with that idea in my mind, I quit the job and I started Capital Numbers. One of the initial clients that we got, the lead we got through our website was Harvard Health Policy Review, who contacted us and said that they're looking for a new website for the Harvard Health Policy Review. And I knew it's going to be competitive. So I approached them and I said, hey, I'm not going to do a bid. Let me do this job for you for free. And if you like it, what you do is go on to your own website and endorse me, saying that, okay, Capital Numbers did a good job. And they agreed to that, and we did a good job. They published it, and then obviously they paid us for that as well. We got Harvard Science Review, and we used that to propel ourselves. Then we started working with Boston Children's Hospital as well. And then one thing led to other, and today the company is growing. So we have now offices in US, in Nordics, in Netherlands, and expanding fast. So I will just leave it at that, sir.
Thank you. A good round of applause to for the time being. He would also get another applause. Story abhi baki hai. So now I come to Rudra Shankar Roy. See, Rudra is an employee first, but he has P&L. Okay, so he is more of a entrepreneur because he is responsible for P&L. In addition to that, he is also a think leader in his areas as well as he mentors many. So Rudro, in your mind, as an employee and an intrapreneur, as well as persons who are aspiring to be, what would be your guidance?
First of all, thank you, BCC&I, right? And since morning, we have been deliberating with various topics, right? And in the various contexts, and our honorable minister has talked about. And I get aspired with the people sitting in the dais, right? With my senior alumnus, as well as the people in the audience, right? There are many alumnus I know who have been, and the people out here doing a lot of things. So the first thing what I felt that if we are going on a mentorship, so I follow on certain things. I follow the master, right? Whoever is the master and mentoring us, we should follow him blindly, because the kind of value that is going to implant it on us as a part of the mentorship is enormous. Then, as an individual, when I come as an entrepreneur or an entrepreneur, we have various barriers to overcome. So we'll definitely face some of the devils in the life. So how to tackle those devils? How effectively and efficiently we are tackling those devils in the form that we are getting, or the hindrances that we are facing, whether it is my immediate customers or the client or my stakeholders. There are various level of stakeholders today that we manage, all of us, right? How effectively we are having those people in terms of crossing the boundaries, and that can be beyond and beyond and beyond. So that's how I see. And so that's my principle that I always go with in terms of follow the master, face the devils. And I believe in one thing: fight till the end. Don't give any loosen end in the life unless and until the job is completed. So whether it is in the professional or in the personal or any kind of entrepreneurship that we are doing, because the challenges will go on. But how we can fight till the end and then finish the game. It should not be a half-hearted thing. Today in the morning session, our Honorable Minister has mentioned about that BCC&I, right? I really like that word that he has mentioned today. And he talked about Bengal. And we have various challenges, right? But still, Bengal is Bengal, where all the brains are today lying over there, and that brains are going all over the world. How we can tackle those areas, how we can mentor at that level of the people who can really become our next generation leader for us from Bengal. That's what my take is, Dada.
Thank you. Thank you. So we now come to Dr. Chiranjib Bhattacharya. Now he had a plum job in a multinational, and he was a very successful one. Now suddenly he decides to become an entrepreneur. So Mr. Bhattacharya, what was your transition? How has been your journey as an entrepreneur? And looking back, what do you say?
Okay, thank you, sir. So I'll do it very quickly as we have a number of questions lined up for the other panelists. So yes, I got extremely motivated by my friend and senior of IIT Kharagpur, who had already started this firm for about 13-14 years. And we used to be in touch always. And we realized that while this firm was specializing in infrastructure, networks, and mainly around IT infrastructure and data centers, there was enough scope to expand around platform and applications. And that was an opportunity actually to go for a full-fledged transformation of an IT services and consulting company headquartered in Calcutta. So the dream was to actually build a company with national and international footprint headquartered in Calcutta. And I was simply excited by that opportunity, since the founder actually gave me complete flexibility and liberty to build, transform this infrastructure company to a consulting company. He even motivated me, as I said last year, actually to go for a proper full-fledged research around this. And parallelly, I could get the opportunity to do research and implement that in real life. And today, after about 8.5 years, yes, we are somewhere. Wizertech is a 500 crore organization. We are trying to build a 1,000 crore organization in the next 3 to 4 years, trying to follow best practices, best processes. And it would be a matter of pride if we can actually complete the journey successfully where we are headed to. Because end of the day, it would be headquartered in Calcutta with a global footprint. So that is my motivation. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Bhattacharya. We see you as the next unicorn. We now come to Mr. Indrajit Deb Roy. Mr. Roy is chartered accountant by profession. He has been in service all along. After superannuating, he has started off. When we start thinking of hanging our boots, he has started his startup. So what made you, start this journey once you were quite satisfied with a superannuated situation? And how do you see your journey taking off?
So thank you very much for having me here. So it all started off when I reminded my wife that my time in service was coming to an end. And she said in Bangla, "Barite thakle khete debo na." So that kind of was a warning for me that you better figure out something to do after you so-called retired. So that was a necessity, but the motivation was threefold. One was the education, academics, training that I had as an accountant. Second was I have worked in multiple different countries, company sizes. For one time I was working for the government, then with quite a few multinationals as well. So I want to put together all the experience. So one was the academics with the experience. And now my intention is there something I can give back to the society? So whatever I'm doing, whatever I intend to do is a combination of all the three. So necessity plus that's the motivation.
Okay, that was quite humorously put, but the takeaway is now you are starting a startup to give back to the society without having the profit in mind. So there is some problem you will solve, and it will be for the general public, and which is something commendable. So I now come to Jayanto. So I call him fondly Jayanto. He's Mr. Jayanto Kumar Shah. So he is entrepreneur by choice from the very beginning. He's the CEO of SoftThink Intelligent Solutions Private Limited. So Jayanto, we are keen to hear about your journey as an entrepreneur. In public, we know all the good things, but certainly it was not a bed of roses for you to walk through. So perhaps you should talk about the highlights as well as the lowlights and how you moved, walked past that low light to achieve this highlight.
Thank you, sir. And I would like to express my gratitude to Bengal Chamber of Commerce and Industry to invite me for this chamber, this conference, and the distinguished panelists in the stage and the guests. So, yes, sir, as the sir said rightly that I am an entrepreneur by choice. I was from very beginning, it was decided that either I will be with the academia for the latest technology, research and all, otherwise I will be into the business and business of technology. So in my college days, I was very much clear in my mind that I don't want to become, I don't want to join the service industry in the IT, most of the cases, with my all due regards to TCS, Infosys, Wipro, SCL. But the then time in 2000, I'm talking about 96, 2000. So these companies are all service industry company and working for the offshore clients and all. So I don't want to become a spoke in a hub, rather I want to become a hub itself. So product was in my mind, and I always think of that how our technology excellence can be converted into a product development, and how I can put my product into the international map, and so that it could be, it should be realized that we are not a, we are not the producer of white collar labor. Actually, we can also produce something which can change the scenario. That's the motivation power behind me for my journey.
So in your journey, what has been the difficult days and how you overcame them? Did you not think of, you have a good degree, you can get into Infosys and all that, get a plush job, chuck this thing, all these things, nothing has crossed your mind, or it has, but something else was pushing you?
Yeah. Let me share one such experience with all of you. That, product development software world is like producing or directing a film, where you don't know that ultimately end of the day, whether the audience will receive it or not, or reject it or not. And it is not a software development for a project where a standard scope of work is in front of you, where you can say, sir, look, I have finished 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and sir, else if required, this is the escalation, you pay me and I will do it. Everything from, you have to conceive the idea, you have to ideate it, then you have to build it, and then you have to go for the market, that whether market is there or not. So in my college days, we used to attend seminar to have, a box of cakes produced by Monginis, restaurant, now his name is Mio Amore. So that red box is the fatal attraction for us to attending the seminars, because we don't have that much of money to buy those cake and all. And then I realized that they have already 10 to 15 shops. And I think they need some system to arrange their supply chain and arrange their delivery and ordering and etc. These are the story of 98, 2000 I am talking about. And then eventually in 2005, I reached to their head office by someone's reference, and I tried to convince them that why software is required. From 2005 to 2010, they made me convinced that why software is not required, and sent me back with, with cakes and pastry and all this. And every day, whenever I go, they used to offer me those oven fresh patties and all, really awesome taste. So the mindset of the owner was that, without having software, I have a BMW, Land Rover, a Mercedes in my garage, and my company is 400 crores. Is it your software is going to put me in a moon? So these were the lows is going on. And it took 5 years time for me to crack the deal. And the deal landed like this way. So I was just simply begging, sir, because from very beginning, I was not into the service industry. So I don't have a job even, right? The scenario is like that. I used to go out for search of a, selling a product. After returning, I found that my team is no longer with me. And when the team is there, they used to say, sir, where is the job, right? So these are cycle I was passing by. And then I simply begged to them that, sir, give me a job, a small job. What you will do is I will, I will, your order processing and your production management, expense management, I will automate. How much money you require? I said 2.5 lakhs, sir. 2.5 lakhs? No, not possible. I said, okay, fine, sir, you give me 1.5 lakhs. No, there is no point of discussing, you go. And lastly, they agreed to give 60,000 and 30,000 I received as advance. And I started building the product, and it took 2 years time to, every time, because product development, as I said, it is completely, I have to conceive the idea, I have to then, because nothing is written clear in front of me. And it took 2 years time. I used to spend about 6 months in the factory in a night to understand their whole process. And then eventually, after 2 years, it is done. And the owner was really very happy, and then he called me. But before that, he told everybody that I don't want to see this guy in front of my room, right? I don't want to see his face. But I was very much low by listening this, because in my school days, college days, I was a blue-eyed boy, right? Never even such kind of rejection I never received. But eventually, when this is, the product launched, and it gave them that facility and all the good thing, then the owner called me and asked about the journey, that how it is developed, how it is this, and how much you spent. So I said, sir, I invested 34 lakhs. He said, 34 lakhs you have invested? With which regards, means what is the belief you have? So I said, sir, in the software world, 95% software fails due to user experience is not so good or not user-friendly, that's why. But I'm a firm believer that the product I am going to produce will be definitely a rockstar. So he immediately agreed to implement it in his 3 factories with 50 lakhs each, right? So my all efforts are paid in that manner. And based on this software, they are now give up to 350 shops and 1,000 crores company.
That's a good story. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. And I think it is the resilience that took you through. So I now come to Meenal. Meenal is currently director of Ensonic Computec. She was initially an intrapreneur and then became an entrepreneur by compulsion. But I would love to hear from her journey, and how she feels about today of the choices that she took.
Thank you, sir. And I really thank everyone over here who are being instrumental in our life to be present, and every day is a learning. So you gave a very right word as by choice. So many a times we do things by choice, and many a times people make us choose. So things like that started happening. It's almost now 2.5 decades in the industry, where I started as a salesperson, and I started climbing the ladder, sales head, sales team lead, and then slowly got into a complete, a vertical specific business, product drive business, and things like that. But finally, it was that when we talk about intrapreneurship, it is actually taking complete ownership of your work, which is a very important factor in today's world. So taking ownership was one of the biggest quality which I had, where I felt whether it was needed or not needed, but doing the job which was definitely allotted to me, but going 2 steps forward was one of the forte which I always had. So that something actually pushed me always to the next level. And that's how I had started climbing the ladder. But when some emotional decisions taken in life, which today may be foolish, but yes, we did some mistakes in life. And after making the mistakes, you realize, ab bas, bahut ho gaya, sun liya sabka, ab kuch apna kar lo. And that's when I decided I need to do something of my own. And that's when the thought came, okay, I need to start something. And incidentally, I got the opportunity, I got the partner, and we both started the work together. We started with no money, with no business in hand, only thing that market knew us and we knew the market. And that's the only thing we had at that time. And that's how that market made us grow. We went into the market, we shared what we have, and the customer believed us, and we have complete trust of customers with us. So that was one thing which we created and one thing we understood. But slowly, when you don an entrepreneurship hat, it is not always about sales. It's more to it. And that's the entrepreneurship journey change which happened from intrapreneur to an entrepreneur. That's the sense of taking risks, the sense of going 2 steps forward, creating an organization, and the the vision, the board, the things we think on. That's the whole aspect of entrepreneurship. So as far as entrepreneurship is concerned, I personally feel if we do full justice to that, the journey to become an entrepreneur is a very welcoming change. It can be done and it is to be done. If there is a scope, one should take it. This is all I can say. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Meenal. That was very encouraging for people like us who are glued to the salaried job. So now I come to Himadri. So Himadri is a partner practicing data and analytics, GCC and GIC market segment of PwC. So Himadri, before you, so as a partner, I would describe you as an entrepreneur. However, you are not a entrepreneur from the very beginning. So there has been a journey and then you have taken up. So how do you cross that, How do you cross that mindset from an employee mindset to an entrepreneur mindset? And as Brinal said that from that to an entrepreneur is no big deal. So over to you. What are your thoughts?
Thank you so much, and thanks for having me here. I think we have heard a lot from all the distinguished panelists. We essentially have mostly been entrepreneurs and certain intrapreneurs as well. I think for me, as you rightly said, the journey of being a partner in a firm, in a professional services firm, is nothing less than being an entrepreneur because you have to build a business, and as a partner, you essentially are expected to own and run that business. So. And for me, my journey has been slightly interesting because I come from a very different background. Even though I'm driving data and analytics for the last 18 years in the firm, I do not come from a technology background, right? So when I landed up in this organization, I was one of those individuals who had absolutely no idea about technology. I had a finance background. I was doing dividend modeling and equity research before that. And at that point in time, I realized that if I have to make a mark, then I have to do something different because there are a lot of people who had a lot of I would say elements that they would essentially take to market or they would essentially drive. So that made me realize that there are certain strengths which I have, possibly I'll have to bring them to the fore, and certain learnings as well, right? The very first essentially was to be nimble, because in today's world you will actually see a lot of individuals who essentially have a certain area where they would like to focus, because that's an area that they won't like to specialize. I felt that, okay, it's a world in itself, and hence, if I'm nimble enough to sort of pick up anything and everything that comes my way, it's going to be a great experience for myself. The second was collaboration, because the power of you as an individual vis-a-vis the power of the firm. I think a lot of people talk about it, very difficult to practice, because you essentially at times feel that, okay, I am the person who will essentially go and win a deal, but you generally don't do that, right? You essentially take the power of your organization, your colleagues, your friends, and I think that realization early in the game is very important, and I think that's what I felt, worked in my favor. And finally, of course, that fear of failure is something that's, and I would be lying if I say I don't have it, right? But you have to be okay to fail. I think these are elements which possibly helped me to make partner slightly early in my career, and possibly would like to take this forward for the next 18, 20 years in my career left. Thank you.
Thank you, Himadri. So now I hand over to Chiranjib. Chiranjib has some questions to all the panelists. Over to you, Chiranjib.
Thank you, sir. Mukul, we are so proud to have you here. The question is that now that you are actually going for IPO, so what actually has motivated you to move towards an IPO? If you can kindly also share some of the challenges which you might have faced during this journey, because obviously going for an IPO involves a lot of challenges as well. And what's your actual goal which you want to fulfill in the short term, going for this IPO?
Well, thank you so much. So we came to the natural conclusion of doing an IPO because of ruling out all the other options that were available to us. So like startups, small businesses also require capital to grow. And when you are looking for capital, the options that you have are, let's say, a bank loan, which requires collateral and has an interest burden on it. And secondly, in IT industry, PE is quite common. So private equity firms usually, the options are very difficult because they don't want minority stake, they want majority stake in the company, and then they want a seat at the board and they want to control your journey as well. So I will say that last year at this conference, I basically came to know about SME IPO. It was Mr. Manoj Agarwal from C Fund who told me that why don't you do an SME IPO? The journey has been very difficult because it has been 1 year. We have recently filed for our DRHP in Bombay Stock Exchange. So the first 6 months I spent is basically trying to find a CFO. And when you're doing an IPO, you realize that all your past compliance mistakes will come to bite you. And that sir will know very well. So to have a right legal team, building a right compliance team, building a right team, the finance team, to run an IPO has been very difficult, but now all is set. And in terms of what we want to do is definitely technology and advancement and growth of the company. So by God's grace, we have become like, done something in Kolkata, but now we want to make a national impact and grow our global footprints. So I will leave it at that. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Mukul. Rudro, there are so many things to learn from you. Rudro is a thought leader, a strategist, over and above whatever he is doing with IBM. So Rudro, on behalf of the chamber, we have a question for you. You have been with us last year as well as this year, constantly enabling, guiding, helping, doing whatever support is required, you have always provided. So you also are very clear about the objectives, why we take up such initiatives. That is to actually create a successful platform of integration between entrepreneurs, startups, investors, mentors, etc. But end of the day, outcomes are important. And therefore, while we definitely have made a significant progress, as per whatever feedback we have received from all quarters since last year, what are the things that you would like to do, like us to do this year, so that next year we make much more progress and actually are able to achieve some tangible outcomes from here? Like investors also should find meaningful outcomes. Startups, entrepreneurs, they also should find tangible outcomes from such initiatives, right? End of the day, that is what would matter. So, your inputs here.
I think this is very, very difficult situation for me to comment on some of the things, right? Being a strategist and being in the industry for a long time. The last year when we were thinking about how BCCI can go beyond, right? So BCCI now went beyond Bengal. That's what the first step has been taken as an initiative. And coming to Bangalore last year, it was a very, very, I'll say, a strong decision for BCCI. And I think that the journey is continuing now. And it should not be one of the event or like in a year. My personal view, I am just putting to everyone in the chamber, right? In terms of, it should be a regular connect and an interaction platform for a connect not only with the major cities or metro cities, because there are a lot of tier 2 cities, right? Like Bangalore, when Bangalore is thinking beyond Bangalore, they are going to Mysore, Hubli, Dharwad. Similarly, when Mumbai is thinking beyond Mumbai, they are going to Pune and other places. Like if the chamber can give a thought, because there are a lot of resource pool, there are a lot of entrepreneurs, investors. I personally know many investors in the area in Dharwad, Hubli and Mysore who are investing for the global projects. And you all might be aware of those investors. Why don't we do some of the events in those lines? That's number one. Number two, I would also request chamber to think beyond India. So be the local of Bengal and focal of India in the global space. So that's where you can do something beyond, and we both are Zavarian, by the way. So we go by a spirit called nihil ultra. So we always think in a different tangent. If we are thinking what would be the next step, we think beyond of that, right? We try to innovate. We try to think beyond our ideas, beyond our capabilities. Try to stretch as much as we can. So why can't the chamber do the same thing? So think something in a line of context. We are saying, okay, we are going to set up a Silicon Valley in Bengal, right? So why don't we bring that Silicon Valley concept? How, I mean to say, this is an experience altogether. Let the chamber give an experience to the investors, the entrepreneurs and the entrepreneurs in the global landscape. So we do have a lot of Bengalis and the people from Bengal all over the world. And every cities, I think every 6 out of 6 people, every one is from Bengal, so with the population number, I think 81 crores, right? 21 crores, right? So 21 crores out of 145, whatever it is, the number, it's not a joke, right? So, and with that 21 crores, I think 19 lakhs is contributing from this city. So 19 lakhs of Bengalis are in here, in this city. And if I count all over the Karnataka, it is close to around 34 lakhs of people in Karnataka. Those who belongs to Bengal. They would be more than happy to contribute for the chamber. And if we do some of the road shows, what chamber thinks today, that can be a thought process for them. I'm going to say I'm just eating up everyone's time, but this is what I felt should be implanted in an institutional way. And the chamber should connect with from the academics to the industry. Chamber should have something with in the morning, our ministers, honorable minister said that we have Wearable Incubation Center, we have Wearable Skills Build. Those are only restricted to Bengal, right? Now, if that wearable arm can be spread beyond Bengal, have something tie up with some of the industries beyond Bengal and have set up some of the centers where we can get benefited out of it. So we can build the skills, help them to re-skills based on the outlook of the industry, connect from the academics to the industry. That should be the way forward. Thank you, Dana.
Thank you so much. Points very well taken, Rudru. I would go to Mr. Indrajit Devraj. Sir, a question related to technology in some manner. You have been a stalwart in the domain of accounting, cost and management accounting. Now with so many emerging technologies coming up, like artificial intelligence, etc., how is that impacting the practice of management accounting? And going forward, do you think that it will actually play a significant role in the management accounting practice, which obviously will be very relevant for entrepreneurs, startups, all sorts of organizations, because one cannot do without that. And the traditional and fundamental concepts, while they remain most critical, but how will such technologies reshape the whole stuff of accounting? Can you kindly throw some light on that, sir?
Absolutely. I think it is in our minds and being talked about quite a bit in terms of the latest technology coming in as generative AI, how it's going to disrupt the world. Yes, there will be, but money will still be money. Accounting will still be done the same way that we do. So the fundamentals are going to remain the same, but how we are going to reach the answers, how we are going to get to the reports, the process is going to change drastically. I'll take an example. Suppose you are working in the area of accounts payable. In accounts payable, what we used to call when we studied is now being called as source to pay, and it's been given very fancy names. Look at the process, and if you break it up, firstly, you'll have to decide to buy something. You have to then look at who to buy from. Then when the goods arrive, you'll receive an invoice. Then you'll process it for payment. So if you break it into this, the entire process is getting automated now. When you receive a quotation, GenAI can summarize and tell you who to buy from. The contracting, GenAI can give you the wording to use. So bottom line is the fundamentals will remain the same, but the way we are operating, the way we are delivering the work is definitely changing. The earlier we adopt it, the better. You can call it technology, you can call it whatever else name, but it's absolutely inevitable and we have to stay ahead and adopt it.
Thank you so much, sir. Coming to Mr. Jayantu Shaha, you have decided to become international now. So you have set up office at London. What are the key objectives of this internationalization strategy? Any other geography you are considering, and why? Why do you think? So the solutions that you have built, we have some ideas about that, around citizen services, around accounting for municipal corporations, e-governance solutions. So with all these solutions, you must be having a roadmap to address the UK market or Europe market?
Yeah. So in the lighter note, it is with the mentality of Dadagiri that if my product can do well, my idea can do well into the offshore market rather than being a service provider. And in the true sense, actually another product which we have developed is named as MeGov, M for municipal, E for e-governance, and GOV, municipal e-governance. So this is a product for the city managers. And as you know, in the worldwide, the rate of urbanization is very high. And day by day, the challenges are coming up to the city managers. So city managers means here we used to say the municipal boards or municipal corporations. In UK, they used to say the city councils. So all they are struggling with to provide the better service to the fellow citizens. And as you know, in the three-tier government's architecture, the central government, state government, and local self-government, these are a political office, actually. But the fellow citizens are getting benefited by this office. There is the true presence of the governance. So in Indian context, the challenges are, when I entered into this domain, it means I learned the idea. In 2005, then in West Bengal, they received a fund of 1,500 crores from DFID government of UK for the municipal reforms. Then time I was working on behalf of PwC Calcutta for building a statistical tools to understand that what is the expectation, what are the services received by the citizen in last 5 years and what they are expecting in coming 5 years, so that PwC can write a draft development plan for the coming 5 years to go. And then I realized they don't have any system for recording their revenues, they don't have system to recording their accounts, and they don't have system to, digitally serve the requirement of the citizens. So then I started building this product in 2008, and it's completed in 2011 like that. But, currently 100 plus municipalities are running in this platform for their day-to-day requirement. But for the European market, that scenario is different. They are already, matured enough. When I pitched them, I have already in a discussion with Cambridgeshire, with the Harrow and Hounslow city councils. And what interestingly they have found that our approach is more simplistic than complex process driven. It is a process driven obviously, but approach is more simplistic. And what they are into the need right now, over and above of this simple accounting or taxations or this, that is the requirement of ESG, environment, social and governance. So they need a solution of ESG through which they can translate their performance, citizen-centric performance, for the better management of the cities. So that is the driving factor which, took me to this destination.
Thank you, thank you. Minal, So you are at 40 crores now, right?
Yeah.
40 crores of revenue.
Yes, 40 crores.
Okay, wonderful. So from this point, in the near future and distant future, what would be your expansion plans? That is one. Number two, do you have any working capital challenges as of now? If yes, are you looking at external investment already? If no, then you would not need anything like that. But in the distant future, you may need. So overall, what would be your plan to do this working capital management, optimizing that, and growth and expansion plans, Minal?
Okay, so up till now, what has worked for us was basically the market. The market helped us grow. We worked on the customer side, and we worked on the orders, and we worked on our business. That's what made us grow. So now the next level is definitely two major factors. One is the human capital, which we have. That human capital has to be a little more robust and strong. Systems and process have to be brought into place in a very powerful way. So these are the two things which are very much in the priority. So we are waiting for that one landmark zone where from there where we would be focusing on that. Also, we are looking forward, since Mukul is here only, so I would definitely take an appointment with him to understand the roadmap to the SME IPO. So that was something which we had in our mind also, but we were not very clear on that. So that was a third angle which we had. And as far as working capital is concerned, किसको पैसा नहीं चाहिए? मेरे ख्याल से everybody needs money at whatever time, at whenever needed. But the whole idea is I have a choice at every moment. And so at this moment, we are still wait and watch and contemplating on a lot of things, because that's what we are looking for, the next orbit change. So we are at that crux where the next orbit change is going to happen. And we are focusing on that. And once that is done, we are definitely moving forward at the top 3.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you so much. Coming to Mr. Himadri Ganguly. We would come to the data analytics part where you have been a stalwart for so many years. So I would request you to kindly offer some guidance to us, the entrepreneurs, startups, on how to optimally use analytics now to grow their business and grow their customers' business. There are so many softwares around, all kinds of suggestions, all, you know, I mean, so many emerging technologies. Now, what would be possibly the optimal route to use analytics quickly so that a startup or entrepreneur, without taking too much of time, can actually utilize analytics in his or her business and enable customers to grow their business, please?
Thank you so much. As a matter of fact, many large organizations are actually facing the same issue. Startups are actually doing better. And that's precisely my experience working with a plethora of different organizations across sectors. But if I have to give you a perspective on this, instead of going into the different aspects of technology, I think in every conversation nowadays people are hearing about AI, Gen AI and all of that. I'm not going to go there because that's boring now, because everybody knows about it. Everybody essentially has heard about it in certain shape or form. I'll give you two scenarios. Like, for instance, there are organizations who essentially would do more of a catch-up game, right? Where peers in that industry or peers in that particular sector have been doing X amount of initiatives from a data or from an analytics standpoint or from a technology transformation standpoint, and hence I need to do it, right? Because if somebody is successful, I need to also sort of invest in technology. And believe me on this, at least 60 to 70% of our, I think observation that we have had has been around that, okay, I would need an SAP system in place and I will have to drive X amount of analytics on top of it, so on and so forth. There are organizations who look at analytics very, very differently, right? And it is what is called as a data-driven decision-making operating model, right? And that gets driven right from the top, where it's not a prerogative of an analytics officer or a CDO or a CIO. It's a prerogative of an MD, CEO or a promoter. Because analytics is not technology. Analytics is for you to sort of identify those hidden insights that you as a business would need to have access to. And that has to be driven by business problems. It cannot get driven by a technology need, right? So just to give you a perspective, organizations who essentially have been driving that culturally in an organization or culturally within their ecosystem are doing far better, right? And we have had, plenty of experiences working with organizations who have done that. And of course, in today's world, if you look at it, huge amount of money is being spent even on upskilling and cross-skilling people within an organization, and not only to people who are going to be leveraging technology, but across an organization. So there's a larger awareness that gets created. And it's no rocket science today for people to sort of go into Google and figure out what are those 10 different Gen AI tools or AI tools. Those are easy things to do. But what is difficult is to sort of culturally orient your organization around decision making or data-driven decision making. I think that's a viewpoint that I want to provide.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you so much. So with this, I think we would come to a conclusion of this session. I would request Mr. Aninda Chatterjee to kindly conclude.
So thank you, Mr. Bhattacharya. So while the speakers have concluded, we had the questions to ask, we have. But any questions from the audience? We'll take two because of time. Okay, there isn't. So thank you so much for being with us and listening to us. Thank you to all the panelists for sharing your piece of wisdom. Oh, no, please, please. No, there are two questions now.
Okay, hi. My name is Titash. My question is to Mukul. And very proud that you're going for an IPO.
Thank you.
My question is, we always have this impression, or at least people outside Bengal have this impression that the ease of doing business in Bengal is not great, or Bengal doesn't have that entrepreneurship mindset. What is your comment to that, and what would you like to say to the naysayers about the entrepreneurship spirit that exists within West Bengal?
So the Agnikul guys said that India में ऐसा कुछ भी नहीं है जो हो नहीं रहा, तो बंगाल में भी ऐसा कुछ नहीं है जो हो नहीं रहा. So it's actually a big fallacy that the entrepreneurial mindset doesn't exist in Bengal. It has a very thriving culture. It has a very thriving tech culture as well. And actually being from Bengal has worked in our favor. So we used to typically only work abroad. But now when we go into client pitches in India, people are surprised, pleasantly surprised, and that is working to our advantage as well. There is no such thing, there's ample talent, and as the minister has highlighted several things, the honorable minister, has highlighted several things about what's happening in the city in terms of building the infrastructure and everything. So I just second all that. So there is no difficulty in doing business in Bengal. The premises that we work from are world class. The guys we work with are world class, top talent, and the clients we work with are also great. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
I'll just add one thing was my dear Mukul has said, right? So how many of us know that what is the significance of today, right? Has been a 2nd August. It's a very auspicious day for an entrepreneurs and all. There's a question to everyone, right? Anyone, any guess? Today is the day when the first entrepreneur of Bengal started his journey. You know who is that? Prafulla Chandra, PC Sen, right? So today is his birthday, and he is the first entrepreneur, I'll say, in that way. And we being in Bengal, we talked about Bengal. So Bengal doesn't need to speak in Bengalis, right? Bengal need the bright minds, and which is already exist in Bengal. Any language can be spoken over in Bengal. And any language, as the Honorable Minister said, right? So the music doesn't have any language, Bengal doesn't have any language. So please.
So there's one more gentleman who had raised.
Yeah. Hi, myself Rahul. My question is to Mr. Himadri Ganguly regarding data, right? How do you help, people who don't understand data? The problem is we make enough amount of data, right? But when you drive it with operations, right, you have done a lot of analytics, you have done a lot of cross-checking, but eventually people end up, like data is wrong. So how do you go about it? Because like even I've been doing it for 7 to 8 years and I've driven a lot of projects across India and some part of the world. But trust me, like I'm not using advanced level of Power BI or Tableau. I'm using basic Excel and driving it. My data is 100% correct. But when I go to operations, they are like, data is wrong. And eventually everything that you've done just loses value. So how do you help on that, or how do you drive that? Thank you.
Well, if I have to give you a technical answer, we might need a separate 1-hour session. I'm not going to do that. What I can tell you is basically what I just said slightly earlier, and I'll link that theme that I was what I was driving to the answer as well, that any data or analytics initiative is an organizational initiative and not an initiative that belongs only to a technology function. To your point, this is a very common problem faced because you essentially drive your own initiatives and you will end up going to a business function and they will say, this is not what I was expecting, right? More often than not in those situations, you will see that the business function has really not been involved right from the word go. So, while you can build in data management fundamentals, data governance, and all of those different things, any such initiative to be successful, you need a business champion. So I would suggest that any such initiative or any analytics or data initiative that is getting driven in an organization cannot be an CIO or a CDO's baby. It has to be done along with business, and they need to be walking that journey along with you. And I think in most cases where we have seen business getting involved, or I would say a function getting involved for whom you're trying to create analytics, it is more often than not successful, right? So I think that is a very quick answer to your question. Of course, as I said, we can have a 1-hour conversation if you really want to go technical into it.
You can do that offline.
Yeah, so one more last thing. Are you fearing getting noticed? No, na? It's not about getting noticed. Okay, otherwise data can bring fear to the management. So you need to just create that, that's all.
No, it's not the problem. Like we have the data, but when you're having reviews with the people and the operation has to work on your data. So they fear us and they say your data is wrong. And the lot of people, even the MD or the leadership, they might have a different personal expertise. Maybe they're a retail conglomerate or they come from manufacturing part. But now they are getting data, even they don't want to get into the nitty-gritties or transactional part of data. So that becomes very difficult to drive things in operations. Yeah.
We can have a business conversation outside.
Yeah, sure, definitely. Thanks a lot.
So thank you very much. We end the session, we end this conclave, and without thanking the secretariat who were behind this conclave, it would not be fair. So I would request all of us, the audience and all, to give a standing ovation to the secretariat who had worked behind the scene. The Angana, and special thanks to Deepak Daftari, Mr. Raghupati, and Mr. Rudro to have made it happen. And thank you all for being present and making this occasion a big hit. Next year, इससे अच्छा भी होगा. Thank you.